Why, hello everybody, welcome. I'm No02. Now that the Nightmare guide is done, for the time being, right, of course, we'll do more when more content, more missions come out. But since the sort of try-hard, sweaty stuff is all over with, right, solo decks are about us trying to beat Nightmare no matter the circumstances. Team compositions that I tried to make fun, but for the most part they're more practical, more stepping into let's just beat this mode, etc. That is behind us. Now we're sort of getting into the fun decks. I'm trying to get more creative, more experimental with the decks and things like that, and etc. So, I'm playing around with a lot of different decks here. Today we're going to be talking about a Holly Buckshot Bruiser deck. Before we get into the deck, I already know that some people really don't like this card. Some people don't like this card at all. Some people think this card sucks. So we need to understand and explain how Buckshot Bruiser is working. We get 0.25 temporary health for each pellet that hits. And so you would think, it being a shotgun, you would be getting all kinds of health, right? Not what it would seem, right? If we shoot this guy here, you can see all those pellets, 11, 11, 11, 11. Look for the 21. Look for the 21. You see that 21? That big number is like some sort of mega pellet. I don't know. All of the other shotguns have something similar. The values are different because they're different shotguns with different damage values, but all of the shotguns have this one mega pellet. They all have this one mega pellet. And I find that if you're only going to hit with one pellet, I can replicate it here. It is always the one pellet. So if you hit anything with one pellet, as far as I can tell, it is always that 21 damage pellet. It is always that 21 damage pellet. So what's happening, people shoot at zombies thinking that, oh, I'm going to get all kinds of health by killing this horde of zombies. What ends up happening is if that one pellet, I mean, this is the TAC 14 or whatever, right? The TAC, etc. 21 damage will kill most common zombies all by itself, right? So keep in mind that one mega pellet is really, for the most part, only going to be generating that 0.25 HP. And if the zombie's dead, the other pellets don't hit the zombie. They don't count. They don't count. So we need to just quantify and understand what Buckshot Bruiser is really doing for us, because I think people got this idea of like, oh man, I'm shooting a shotgun, all these pellets, all this health. It's not the reality of Buckshot Bruiser. Though there are some circumstances where we can use Buckshot Bruiser to heal quite a bit. But zombies are not it. Zombies are not it. So for the most part, we can quantify, because it's only going to be taking 1 to 2-ish pellets to kill per zombie. Obviously, that value gets a little bit better when we're shooting at a horde of zombies with a shotgun. For the most part, though, we can assume, right, quantifiable, which is math it out, and that every zombie that we kill will be generating about 0.5 points of health. 0.5 HP per zombie. That's roughly what you're gonna get, because you can't really control whether or not the mega pellet is getting a headshot or not anyways. So for the most part, I'm just assuming that for all the other shotguns as well, it's going to take about 2 pellets to kill a zombie. The rest of the pellets are wasted. But like I said, if you're shooting into a horde of zombies, that gets better. With one zombie generating 0.5 HP, we can then say for every 2 zombies that we kill in a short period of time, we'll generate 1 point of health. How much damage does a zombie do if he punches you? 10. 10 plus some. Zombies will start off in nightmare mode doing 10 points of damage, I believe. And then it just goes up from there, up to like 12 or 14 or something like that. But the point is, killing a zombie does not protect you from a zombie hit. You need to kill like 20 zombies to generate 10 points of health. But then, of course, temporary health is always declining, so we need to actually kill more than 20 zombies. right? Quantifying it here in that Buckshot Bruiser does not just generate free health infinitely when you're killing just zombies one at a time, and etc. Mathing it out exactly how much health you can generate from shooting at a horde, obviously it's going to be much better. You'll get more spread on your pellets and things like that, and it's obviously going to be more beneficial. But Buckshot Bruiser is not an excuse to play bad. Buckshot Bruiser is not a ha ha ha, I have infinite. I use shotgun shells to generate health. I can never die. Let the zombies hit me. Not like that at all. Buckshot Bruiser is going to allow us to not have to worry about buying extra healing accessories. We don't need to get a fanny pack or shoulder bag. We can skip that card. We don't need to worry about pockets. We can even potentially carry a medkit, heal someone else, or maybe we're out of supplies. Things are not going well. We're out of grenades. We're out of healing accessories, etc. But so long as we have shotgun shells, we can actually sustain ourselves over time. So in killing the horde, shooting at mutations, shooting at nests, shooting at the abomination, shooting at bosses, those are all going to be really, really key points where we can actually gain quite a bit of health over time. Buckshot Bruiser, of course, only generates health if we're in combat, so the more aggressive, the more fighting we're doing, the healthier we're going to be, so long as we're playing smart. We're not just taking it for granted and taking free hits. So that's how we're going to understand Buckshot Bruiser here. Buckshot Bruiser is about gaining health over time. And if we move quickly enough, move with pace, then Buckshot Bruiser can keep us relatively healthy. Buckshot Bruiser will allow us to resist some amount of trauma when we're when we're living on a prayer, basically. When we're living mostly on temporary health, Buckshot Bruiser would keep us safe from trauma and all this other stuff. Really, really cool card. Really, really interesting card as far as how we can basically sustain ourselves for much longer than our teammates will be able to do so by just shooting shotgun shells. I'm going to be going into more fun decks like this that I mentioned earlier. Keep in mind that a lot of the decks are going to end up being for Act 1 at first, and I'll try to figure it out, because I do need to play and test all these decks. And Act 1 for me is just like the comfort act. I understand it very well. There's more players in Act 1, so getting a team of people who are willing to play and stick it out for longer is much easier on Act 1. Act 1 is our control campaign, right? Allowing me to test sort of like proof of concept sort of thing here. So this is Holly, Buckshot Bruiser for Act 1. I will say, though, actually I'll say it at the end. Hazard Pay, Double Grenade Pouch, Simple, Clean, Standard. Simple, Clean, Standard. Just blow things up when they get in your way. Hazard Pay for the economy right out the gate. Right out the gate. Nothing trouble, like nothing weird here, right? But notice now Buckshot Bruiser. Let's get into the fun thing, right? Let's try and do the fun thing sooner here. So we're skipping movement, right? For most of the decks, I recommend 2 to 3 movement cards, some stamina and some movement speed. And what you prefer is fine. For the most part, I'd always recommend cross trainers, superior cardio, and then fleet of foot at the moment. But here we're skipping that. We got Buckshot Bruiser. We're playing Holly for 2 specific reasons. 1, she has damage resistance. So as we take damage and then heal it with Buckshot Bruiser and take damage and heal it with Buckshot Bruiser, we're going to get more value over time through our health bar. We're going to get more value over time out of all the temp health that we're generating. That temp health that we're going to generate will last 10% longer? I don't know. It'll last longer in theory, right? Which is why we have Holly. But also, Holly generates stamina when she kills a zombie. I know people really like that for melee decks, and of course that makes sense, but here, we're going to be moving and grooving, shooting, moving from holdout point to holdout point, getting into trouble, etc., and things like that, as well as punching things and etc. So we're going to be reliant on Holly's stamina regeneration ability to aid us in our movement when we get to the crossing, as well as any other movement-based area that we end up having to fight our way out of, right? Pain Train, we get our cross trainers preparing for the crossing, and then we get Hellfire. Movement speed while firing and move speed while not firing. We have Hellfire for 2 reasons. 1, it still helps us it still helps us with the crossing as far as movement speed goes. We have 2 cards for stamina and movement speed, and then Holly is going to be our main source of stamina, essentially. So we're getting rid of Superior Cardio and basically replacing it with Holly's character card, because she'll allow us to generate more stamina and get more value out of it. And we get Shell Carrier for ammo. I've been noticing, in a weird way, Clean Sweep is not the best map for ammo. There's an ammo crate in the gas station after the breaker fight, and then ammo crate in the toolkit room. But sometimes that toolkit room is inside of the liquor store rescue part, and that's not very convenient to get ammo there. So for the shotgun, where you may not have access to shotgun shells, or someone else on your team is using it, or you're tired of asking your teammates all the time, you can have an extra 30%, hopefully, when you're pushing the button for the liquor store holdout. So we're just setting extra damage, extra shotgun shells, just to sort of round it out. Because the more shells we have, the more health we have, right? And here we get Quick Kill. And you'll notice we don't have any other extra accuracy cards here. We just have Quick Kill. When it comes to the 100% accuracy decks, the more accuracy we have, the more pellets that we can condense into one space. And there's like a, high accuracy shotgun damage build that will shred mutations really easily. But if we're running around with a pinpoint crosshair, we sort of lose our ability to heal off of hordes. Right? Because once we have too much accuracy, our bullets are we're shooting basically a sniper shell, basically. And we can only kill, for the most part, 1 or 2 zombies at a time, or only zombies that are lined up perfectly, right? And shotguns actually don't have that great of penetration on them. But at the same time, if we have too much bloom on our crosshair, not all of the pellets are hitting tall boys. Not all of the pellets are hitting stalkers. And stalkers and stingers, they end up being a really big problem for us, because we have to get close to them if we want to kill them with our shotgun. So a stinger that gets a good hit on you, you can't really dodge it anymore because you're slowed, and it's too far away because you have a shotgun. So Quick Kill is going to help take the edge off here. And I find that Quick Kill is more than enough accuracy, or this nice blend of the two, in that it's going to give us enough bloom that the bulk of our pellets, for the most part, will be hitting reekers and tall boys. If we crouch, it gets slightly better, but it's really not worth it. But the bloom is still big enough that if a horde were to be funneling in through the door, the bloom sort of still fills up the door. So we can aim for the head and get multiple heads, multiple bodies, sort of swarming at us with this bloom. You can get a laser sight. I would recommend don't go higher than a blue laser sight. Green or blue are fine. You can play around with it, it's up to preference. The better the accuracy, the more health we can generate off of mutations. The higher the accuracy, the less effective we are against the horde. Lower the accuracy, the more effective we are against the horde, but vice versa, we can't shoot the mutations quite as well. But Quick Kill is essential because it's going to take this edge. Quick Kill will give us the ability to heal off of most of the mutations very easily. Because if we're mag dumping our shotgun into a mutation, each of the shotguns shoot around 10-ish pellets. I tried to count them. I'm not really worried about it. I'm sure the number and the math is out there somewhere. You can go find it. But the point is, we're generating, 1/4 of 10. You know what I mean? Like, we're generating nice chunks of health per shell when we're shooting at a mutation. And Quick Kill is going to help us do that easier. Now we get hyper-focused, which is why we have Hellfire. I think I forgot to mention that earlier. We have Hellfire because the movement speed while firing is going to completely negate the negative effect of hyperfocus. We won't even feel the effects of hyperfocus. And now we have weak spot damage. With our Quick Kill and our weak spot damage, and at certain ranges, we can now do significant damage to the Stinger and the Wretch variants. Killing bosses gets much easier. Tall boys that swing or miss, or if you get a flank on a tall boy, your crosshair will be taken up for the most part by that weak spot. And we sort of take a nice big leap in damage here as far as killing mutations when we hit their weak spot. Now we get a quality of life here with Mag Coupler for the reload speed. As far as reload speed goes, it does seem to it makes the express shoot faster. I also think it makes the tac shoot faster as well, but I don't really feel the difference too much. But the extra reload speed will help us keep in the game and things like that. Keep in mind too, we have hyper focus on 8 just because we don't have bomb squad here, so we get some extra mutation killing power when we get to Barroom Blitz, because that's a map where killing the mutations is the big problem. As far as grenades go, you can run pipe bombs or flashbangs, it's up to you. Bad coupler, and then motorcycle helmet. And so we're going to take the step here and again into getting the most value out of our Buckshot Bruiser. Extra health, extra damage resistance, the most value out of our Buckshot Bruiser. We're kind of a tank now. 25% damage resistance. We're not investing super heavily in the damage resistance because the thing about health, damage resistance, support cards, those things are more valuable when you're taking damage. So in a weird way, the better you play, the better we play, the less valuable motorcycle helmet is, the less valuable Buckshot Bruiser is, right? The better we play, we don't actually end up needing these cards at all. But they're nice luxuries to have that if we do end up taking any amount of damage, we have the ability to absorb more of it and then sustain over it and heal it back by shooting things. Now at the end of the act, now we're just investing in the damage. A good offense is a good defense. You can't take damage if you're getting killed, so Buckshot Bruiser will be more than enough to take care of all the little chip damage here and there. Buckshot Bruiser will get your back here, right? So we have Shredder, because with the quick kill and a laser sight, most of her pellets are hitting the mutation, which each pellet triggers Shredder. So by the second shot of our shotgun, Shredder is at max stacks. The third shot is doing maximum damage. We are killing things. Knowledge is power. We're not investing into any more grenade pouches, so protecting that resource is going to be important for us, especially when we get to abandoned, because deciding whether or not we need to throw a flashbang or not, or whether or not we need to throw a pipe bomb or etc. It works best for flashbangs. Is going to be huge for us. So between Shredder, Knowledge for Power, and Hyper Focused, and all the extra damage we got going on here, we have the information now. When we're shooting these mutations, do I need to move? Do I need to throw something? You have that option now. And this is we're picking it up here on Hell's Bells just because when you're inside of the church, making that decision can be really, really hard. Depending on where the tall boy is entering into the church, what window he's entering, and how much time you have, things like that. There's a good little bit of quality of life thing here to have because we're running a shotgun, right? And if we run into a hawker or a stinger, the extra weak spot damage is nice as well, and then being able to recognize whether or not we need to throw anything at that hawker or stinger. It's just really nice to have. Then we get Rolling Thunder. This is mostly for the damage, right? It's just damage without any repercussions here. Flat plus 10% damage, no repercussions. Extra move speed while firing. If you really, really like the bloom on quick kill, you can skip getting a laser sight and then just get a compensator. And even though Hyper Focus is eating up most of our stuff, we got 5% left over from Hellfire, 40% total now with Rolling Thunder, plus whatever compensator. I can't remember what a purple does. I think it's 40% or 30%. You can sort of like be way more mobile now while shooting your gun and etc. And that can be really useful when we get to Rolling Thunder, which is card 14, because you are going to be sort of this little pillar of shotgun pellets, sort of dancing around the field cannon a little bit, flashbanging what you need to, and etc. Rolling Thunder will help you do that more easily. Combat training, most for the bullet stumble. I've been playing a lot with combat training, testing it out, figuring out, and I really, really like it as far as helping us get to a point where whatever gun we're using, we can stumble reekers, and that's sort of the end goal, is we can stumble reekers. So between the extra damage we're doing with the bullet damage, with Rolling Thunder, weak spot damage, things like that, our more focused pellet spread, plus the extra bullet stumble damage, which as far as I can tell, I do believe it's counting per pellet. We sort of take a nice little boost into stumble potential here. Ideally, we do probably want some amount of stumble ammo on our shotgun, This will take the edge off as far as being able to stumble stingers reliably, and potentially stumbling reekers if we're mag dumping into them. And then Confident Killer. And we sort of just invest the last bit of our cards just in the damage. Just in the damage. We'll use our Buckshot Bruiser, our reload speed, our still fairly chunky spread to deal with the Horde. We can use Pipe Bombs if we wanted to deal with the Horde. And then we just, the last bit of cards are going to help us be significant damage dealers to mutations. Obviously, we could build a deck that does more damage, but this is a nice bit of versatility as far as survivability, quality of life with the reload speed, and having damage to deal with mutations and etc. So let me know what you guys think of this deck. Try it out if you have success or not. I'd love to hear it. There was something I wanted to mention at the end. Oh, yes. I do have this deck tested for Act 1. I did start playing with this same exact deck for Act 2. Keep in mind that I sort of realized that when you're just investing in the damage, there's really not a whole lot of context for that, right? There's not, I mean, just bullet damage, right? It's just you get more of it or you don't, and there's not a whole lot of given missions where it's just like, oh yeah, like I need more damage on this mission in particular. You're sort of just building it up over time, right? So, in that sense, other than our first 5 cards, which are very planned out, these first 5 cards are really nice in Act 2 at the start, because we'll have 5 cards, we'll have all of our movement set up for the Handyman. The beginning of Act 3 is a lot of open maps, so we'll have all our movement set up for that. Beyond that, we're just setting up damage, accuracy for killing mutations, crowd control, survivability, right? It's like there's not a whole lot of context naturally in this deck because the things are so generic. It's just getting more value out of our basic resources. So even though this deck is for Act 1, I do think this deck can work in Act 2 and in Act 3 as well. For Act 4, I'm not so sure, but I'm sure to do fine. So let me know. You can play it in all the acts, but I've sort of got it honed in for Act 1. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the future.